All right, welcome back to segment two with Fractional Exec, Scott Mingus, Neil McLeod. We're talking about an end-to-end project using n8n and automation of process within our own business and applying or how that applies to some of the client engagements that we've had. We talked in the first segment about how do you identify process? How do you go through that with the discovery process with clients? Now we're going to jump in. We've identified some projects that we're going to take forward. And the next step is really how do you identify the tools that you're going to use? So talk to us a little bit this morning about your process of tool evaluation, how it fits into the environment for the client, etc.
I hadn't done workflow automation prior to taking the class on n8n and how to use it. For just selecting a tool, it's pick one and start playing with it and see what you like about it. I started with ChatGPT, and since then, probably have used everything under the sink. I've used Claude, I've used Copilot, I've used Gemini. I've only used a couple workflow automation tools, but I think it's just finding something to get started with and then testing it out.
There are so many tools out there, and I think the progression of the industry, they keep leapfrogging each other. So it's hard to say I have the best tool. That might be for, a period of 2 to 6 months, and then someone leaps over them and has additional value to the process. So I agree. I use a ton of those tools myself, and the level of value that you can apply for client engagement using these AI tools is amazing. You can get there so quickly and help their business so dramatically. It's a lot of fun. So let's talk about, one of the biggest concerns that we always hear is about security. There's a thought process that we take through about picking platform, picking security, make sure you have guardrails in place. Talk a little bit about that process with clients.
I don't want to oversimplify it because it is a concern, but we definitely talk to clients about being safe within their own ecosystem or their own tenant or their own environment, and making sure that people are not exposing sensitive data. Whether they're using AI tools or building workflow automation, they need to make sure that they have guardrails in place. And so what you and I have done for organizations in the past is step them through that thought process and establish guidelines and make sure that people follow the guidelines and then monitor it as well. So we'll have the technology team put instrumentation in place to try to ensure that people are not exposing sensitive data. So those kinds of conversations need to happen early in AI adoption processes. So organizations, small, medium, large, all have policies in place, and then they can adhere to and make sure that they're training on those policies. So everyone in the organization leveraging tools for workflow automation or for artificial intelligence are following along or falling in line with that.
So great points on all those, the compliance aspects of it. One of the things that we've seen is the use of Copilot, and just simply because it's so well integrated into the Microsoft Office suite, already controlled from an IT standpoint. So those are all considerations that you have to go through with your client to make sure that they understand how are they going to manage AI and make sure it doesn't burn through like a wildfire and get out of control within the organization. And I think the other one is probably the expense side of the house. You can get excited about everything that you can do with AI and what it can do for your organization, but you also have to look at the cost side. So can you talk a little bit about, scaling these types of technology and how do you pay for these?
Yeah, actually, from personal experience, I pay for multiple AI tools and workflow automation tools. So think about any subscription that you're paying for. You pay for Amazon Prime and you pay for whatever your TV subscription might be. If you take a look at your budget periodically, you're thinking about, okay, is this wise? Is this a good spend? Similarly, if you're going to be investing in your business, evaluate the stack and see what makes the most sense for you. And if I find one that I think is going to help and be beneficial for us, like you and I did with Base 44, where it now hosts the Fractional Exec website, then I might upgrade that so I can reach that next tier and leverage the tools so it can do things like web hosting and allow me to update content on a website by just doing vibe coding. Costs a little bit more money, but the value's there. So inside of a business, similar thinking would be, okay, do I need individual licenses? Am I small enough where just buying $20 seats makes sense? Or do I need to upgrade to the Teams level? Or do I need to think about what it's going to cost me to license at an enterprise level? And of course, you want to do tool evaluation before you make that commitment as well. Lately, all the rage is Claude, and that one has Claude Cowork that is a little bit for less technical users, but allows you to initiate workflow automation within your business processes. As you think through which tool stack, and you mentioned Copilot already in the Microsoft environment, what makes the most sense for you as an organization, and then evaluate the costs as discussed.
Yeah, I think that's great, and we're going to wrap this session, but I think there's a couple of points I want to make sure we highlight in this. When you're picking the platform, make sure that you have, number one, your security taken care of, right? How am I going to manage the application? Is it going to be hosted locally? Is it going to be hosted in the cloud? All those considerations around guardrails, et cetera, are incredibly important. And then looking at the platform from a cost standpoint, not just today, not what it's going to cost me to do a pilot, to even to ramp it into production, but the long-term cost effect of bringing this platform in. How do I justify that, and how do I control that to make sure it doesn't get out of control? So appreciate your time, Neil, once again, your expertise and talking to us about n8n. And I invite our followers or new followers to like and follow us and get ready for segment 3 coming up next. Thanks, Neil. Have a great day.
Sounds great. Thanks, Scott.